Hey y'all, and welcome back to the Celestial Garden Show. I'm your host, Shanice, and this is your weekly transit talk where we break down the astrology for the week ahead so you can move through the week with more clarity, alignment, and intention. This episode is for the week of May 19th through May the 25th, 2025. And the energy this week is very grown, it's grounded, and it's real. After weeks of emotional intensity, some power shifts, and ego triggers, we're stepping into a new level of spiritual maturity. We've got some major transits this week that are giving integrity over impulse. So, this is especially influenced by Saturn officially entering Aries on Saturday, May the 24th. So, this is a collective moment of initiation. That's that Aries energy, but it's not about the aesthetic or performance of things. It's more of like taking responsibility for what you say you believe in and actually moving like it. So, Saturn and Aries, I've been telling a lot of people that this is instant karma. So, Saturn is not grounded in Aries, it's uncomfortable there. So, Saturn is exalted in the opposite sign of Aries. So, Saturn is in its detriment in, I mean, yeah, Saturn is in detriment in Aries, so it's in its opposite sign, which is Libra. Libra is exalted, Saturn is exalted in Libra. And so when it's in Aries, it's ungrounded. When it's in Libra, it can be diplomatic, it can be fair, but in Aries, it's more of the energy of going impulsive. And so Saturn represents the truth and it also represents karma. So Aries is the energy that's represented by Mars. And since Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, it doesn't have a Saturnian structure or influence. It doesn't get influenced by Saturn until it hits Capricorn and Aquarius energy. So that's the 10th or the 11th house of the zodiac. So this Aries energy or Saturn in Aries energy is very quick and impulsive. So the truth can come out quicker. Things can happen faster when it comes to that restriction and challenging energy that Saturn represents. And so this week I pulled a tarot card and it absolutely matched with the energy. So the first card that came out was the Hierophant, and it was grounded by the King of Wands. And the Hierophant is all about tradition, sacred practice, spiritual authority, but it's not in like a dogmatic way. This card is about staying anchored in your values, like the real, authentic ones, not the materialistic things and the beliefs that are built to last. That's the Hierophant energy. It's represented by Taurus. And with Saturn changing signs this week, that's the reminder it's time to choose a foundation for us that you can actually like build from. Something that's functional and sustainable, not one that is just based on vibes and peer pressure. Now, grounding the Hierophant is the King of Wands, which that's that Saturnian energy. The King of Wands is fire energy. So that's that Saturnian energy entering Aries. And this tells me that this week isn't just about what you know, it's about how you lead. So the King of Wands shows up with a vision, confidence, and presence, but he doesn't just talk, he actually embodies that energy. This is divine masculine energy, both the Hierophant and the King of Wands. It's that solar plexus energy. It's walking into the room, knowing who you are without explaining it to anybody. So, yeah, between the Hierophant and the King of Wands, the message this week is very loud and clear. It's move in alignment with what you value and stop shrinking your truth. So we've got Venus trining Mars, the Sun trining Pluto, which is retrograde right now in Aquarius, and Mercury conjunct Uranus. So like Saturn is stepping into Aries this week. This is all energy that's great, like a recipe for strategic action, some breakthrough ideas, and some serious long game planning if you're willing to show up from the inside out. So you have to show up. So whether you're feeling pressure to pivot, expand, or commit, just take a breath and tap into your inner authority and let yourself lead. Listen to your body. All right. So let's get into last week's recap, and I'm going to include my personal transits corner into this. Last week was absolutely crazy, okay? Period, point blank, full stop. That Scorpio full moon starting Monday was not soft energy. It was very revealing, it was intense, and honestly, it felt like spirit was flipping all of the lights on in a room that has been dusty for years, like dusty and haunted and shit. The astrology hit in a very real way, both collectively and honestly, personally for me. So, first off, I'm going to start with the collective energy, what we saw through the astrology. And we saw some wild Scorpio, Plutonian coded events happening. So, the Nottoway plantation in White Castle, Louisiana, burned down on the day of the full moon, I believe. So, that right there was symbolism like we could not miss. And I think it burnt down for like 48 hours. So like they tried to take the fire out or put the fire out and it came back. So that's like the ancestors are very active. I saw people pouring libations. Like I wish I was at home, honestly. I'm from Louisiana, not from White Castle, but I'm from Louisiana. And I honestly I've been wanting to come home. So hopefully soon. And the next thing that happened last week was 7 events. 7 events, 7 inmates escaped from New Orleans jail. I don't know what's going on in Louisiana. So that was another major Scorpio theme energy around imprisonment and like hidden power structures that are cracking. And speaking of hidden power structures that are cracking, Diddy's case last week, Cassie testified. She went on stand, I believe, the day that Mercury in Taurus squared Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. So this energy is all about secrets, power abuse, and long buried truths coming to the surface. And that was just like all happening Monday. So this is some very intense energy that we've been in. And as far as like the rest of the week, excuse me, like on May 14th, the Sun in Taurus form a sextile to the North Node in Pisces. So this is clarity and spiritual alignment. May the 15th, we had Jupiter in Gemini squaring the North Node in Pisces. This is collective belief systems and karmic turning points starting to crack. So May the 17th, we had the Sun in Taurus forming a conjunction with Uranus in Taurus. So this is a new cycle of new way of thinking in collective shocks, awakenings, and like future forward thinking types of downloads, like future perspectives, big picture thinking type of things. This we also had a few hours after the full moon, Saturn quietly entering the 29th degree of Pisces. That is the anaretic degree. That's a karmic degree. That is Saturn wrapping up the lessons that it's learned throughout Pisces. So Saturn entered Pisces March of 2023. Everything that you've learned. This energy was very intense last week, okay? Personally, I received a lot of downloads. And I'm not even going to lie, I went through a major purge this past week. And this may be triggering for like trauma survivors. So, trigger warning, especially those with childhood abuse and like people who were manipulated as a child. So, just please take care while you're listening. But while I get into like the personal transit part of this episode, but I found out some deeply disturbing truths about my family, especially my mom's side of the family. And I'm not talking about everybody, but it's enough to say that some of them are absolutely unwell. Okay. So I'm not going to go too far into detail about it, but there was a family secret. That's all I'm going to say. And that family secret came out when I was about 7 years old. And from what I remember from that secret, um, it basically crushed my whole childhood and it made me hyper aware. This was the first, like, well, not the first trauma incident, but it was one of the first major trauma incidents where I was taught to like be silent. And basically, I'm a liar, and things like that. People projected a lot of things onto me. And my mom's side of the family basically twisted a story, this family secret up, and manipulated both my parents, my mother and my father, and have been projecting this generational pain onto me like it's their job, like this is their duty. And now I'm not saying that my mom is perfect at all, and she has some healing to do of her own. But this information that I know and this information that she also knows, and like everybody knows, honestly, this week blew a lid off of everything. And my dad passed away last year. So usually when people pass away, I've heard and I've known, things come out. And for me, it's not just emotional. Like this was a Scorpio full moon, and a lot of people were concerned, like people who don't know me. And I'm so grateful for my best friends, my two best friends who constantly check up on me and like know that I'm okay. My mental health team that actually know that I'm okay. Like a lot of people think that I just be crashing out. I do not just crash out. First of all, like just mind your business if you don't know, and pray for me if you care. But for me, this isn't just emotional. It's very spiritual. Like this is kind of like that ancestral karma that starts to fester when people refuse to deal with the truth. And I also want to say this. Sidebar kind of sort of. Let me just say spell work is not a replacement for spiritual maturity. And to the Black community, especially, leave that mess alone. If you don't know what you are doing, leave it alone. I don't understand this constant obsession with control, hexes, curses, and getting your way. It only makes things worse. So find Jesus. I know a lot of people have a hard time with religion right now, and it's not the religion you have a problem with. It's the man, the people who manipulated you. A lot of people are having awakenings. I hear so many people say that they're autistic. You are having an awakening to how you've been performing in a system that is no longer working for you because it was never sustainable for any of us. You were just able to get away with a lot and perform. And now the veil has been removed. So now it's time for you to figure out who you are in this world because you are free to do whatever it is that you want to do, but you have to get out of your own mental constraints. Spell work is not a replacement for spiritual maturity, for spiritual authority. Find Jesus Christ, understand what he was trying to teach. Because what I've been shown this week, what I've been shown throughout my entire life, there is no rest for the wicked. And Saturn entering Aries on May the 24th is not here for any emotional games at all. No games. It is not playing. That said, I do feel like my dad is helping me from the other side. Like I said, he passed last year. And since then, I've been slowly peeling back these layers of lies and secrets. I've been writing and journaling, getting clear. And honestly, I'm going to be so honest. This has been so painful for me, but it's been so healing. And my hope is that this clears a path for my family and maybe yours too, whoever's listening, that you can finally break the cycle. No more deception, no more denial. It ends here, it ends this week. So, sorry to get a little intense, but let's zoom out and look at the week. May the 19th through May the 25th, 2025. And let's look at the bigger picture of the week and the astrology for this week. There's one major word that keeps coming up for me in my life personally, like honestly, structure, but sacred structure. And this isn't about like rigid routines or control. It's about intentional alignment with your purpose, your power, and your path. Especially with the South Node in Virgo right now. Virgo is a very intentional sign. So we open this week with some beautiful supportive energy. And we have the sun forming a sextile with Saturn and Pisces. The sun will be entering Gemini this week. So we will be entering Gemini season. Happy birthday to all of the Geminis out there, helping us this energy on Monday when the sun forms the sextile with Saturn before it enters Gemini. This is helping us ground our long-term vision into something that is real. Saturn is that structure energy. It's that Hierophant energy. It's very grounded. And then we have the sun entering Gemini. So this is shifting the collective vibe to like more curious energy, connecting, and some quick thinking. And then on May the 22nd, we have um, like a cosmic trio: Venus trining Mars, Sun sextile Neptune, Mercury sextile the North Node. So this is aligned action, creative spark, confidence in love and money, some spiritual downloads, intuitive clarity. We might even have some destined conversations with some aligned decisions. The vibe is very trust what you are feeling and then take some bold, intentional action afterwards. Then on Saturday, we have the main event of the week, Saturn entering Aries, May the 24th. This is major. Saturn will be in Aries until 2028. Now, it will dip back into Pisces later this year, but that's only for a couple of months, maybe I think 2 months. Don't quote me. I'll let you know next episode. But this is the official start of a whole new collective era around self leadership, identity, and responsibility. By Sunday, though, we have Mercury forming a conjunction with Uranus. So this is creative spark, downloads, new ways of thinking. So while the pace might pick up in the middle of the week, we are asking to move in maturity and some clarity, stay aligned, stay grounded, lead from the inside out. The Hierophant and the King of Wands here in this week's reading, it's holding the vibe of know what you believe in and embody it fully. And don't be afraid to lead by example. Okay, so that closes out this week's episode. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, or leave a comment. And if something in today's episode really resonated with you, let me know in the comments. I love seeing how this energy works out for y'all in real life. And if you are interested in staying connected, make sure you click the link in the description down below to sign up for my newsletter. I will be updating that really, really soon. I know I say that a lot, but I'm working on it, you guys. All right, y'all, that is it for this week's Transit Talk. Y'all have a good week, and I'll talk to y'all in the next episode. And please stay grounded, stay aligned, and move like the Hierophant this week and the King of Wands. Move boldly, but with a purpose.